Okay, we're gonna start with our oven on 375. We're gonna let our oven get all preheated. Then we're gonna go ahead and take about 3 tablespoons of our butter, and we're gonna go ahead and grease that pan that we're gonna go ahead and bake our macaroni and cheese in. Gonna get it nice and greased up so that it doesn't stick to the bottom. It can come out really easily. And we're just using 3 tablespoons of that butter. You're still going to save some of the extra butter. We'll just use 3 to grease the pan. Then we're going to go ahead and get a small bowl, pour our breadcrumbs in there, and we're also going to melt down our butter. You can use, ooh, let's go ahead and get that vegetable bouillon. This shit going fast. Get the vegetable bouillon and put it in the water. And I had ended up using chickpea pasta just because I wanted to. You can use whatever pasta you want. Whatever pasta you choose, just cook it to the directions on the box. I felt like putting a little bit of salt in there because I feel like salt makes the water boil quicker. Then you're going to get another saucepan and put 3 tablespoons of butter in there. You're going to get your 1/4 cup of flour ready, and you're also going to get your 2 cups of milk ready. Ooh, the water's boiling. You know what that means. Once your vegetable bouillon is all stirred up and the water has begun boiling, go ahead and pour your mac in there and cook it to the package directions, or even take a minute or two off that cook time since you're going to go ahead and put it in the oven and bake it again. You do not want it to be mushy, so don't be afraid to take it off the burner a little bit early. Keep on stirring that up, cook it to package directions. You know how to do some pasta. Okay, now that our butter has melted in that saucepan, go ahead and dump your flour into that pan. We're gonna make a little bit of a roux. I'm telling you, you gotta do this. This is the beginning of the cheese sauce, which is the most important part of this recipe. So go ahead and whisk until the flour and the butter are combined and the flour has gotten to a golden brown or like a pale golden brown color. Don't burn it. We're going to go ahead and put a little bit of milk at a time into our mixture while still continuously mixing. We're just going to whisk it constantly until it's smooth, a little bit at a time to get some of those lumps out and as to not overwhelm the mixture. I think this part is so fun. I just love how it starts as butter, then we add flour and milk, and it just looks so cool. Like it starts from one thing and it ends up being another. It's just so fun. And this is like I said, the beginning of our cheese sauce. This is important. This is the star of the show. And I'm going to give you guys a hack on how to melt vegan cheese effectively. So let's get into it. I pour all of my milk in and I give it a good whisk. Everything should be nicely combined together. Now we're going to start with our seasonings. I'm going to start with some onion powder. We're going to add garlic powder. I have the exact measurements in the recipe that's on the blog, but I'm just doing stuff. Oh, I think my mac was done at this time. I went ahead and poured that water off and put the pasta to a side. Come back around with the seasonings. We're gonna get some turmeric, and this turmeric, it gives the mac a really nice yellow color. The cheese sauce, a really nice yellow color, and I'm pretty sure turmeric's pretty good for you. It wasn't as yellow as I wanted, I ain't gonna lie. I was like, let me get a little bit more in there. Yeah, just whisk all those seasonings together. Then you can put some cayenne pepper. I like to put cayenne pepper in mine. It doesn't make it super spicy. Some ground black pepper. And even though it doesn't make it super spicy, I like my food spicy, so I gotta put peppers in mine. But it's like not like a spicy mac and cheese. It just gives it a lot of good flavor. I was making sure to get all of that black pepper out. I'm like, hold on, let me grind out all these little peppercorns to the end. Whisk that up. And you don't have to put as much pepper when you're making your mac and cheese if you're following this recipe. But even if you do follow the recipe that's on the blog, it's not gonna be spicy. Um, I like to put some chipotle pepper powder in there. That's completely optional. But like I said, I like spice. Then we're gonna go ahead and put about a tablespoon or 2 tablespoons of nutritional yeast into the cheese sauce. And nutritional yeast is the goat. It really gives the cheese a cheesy taste. Then we're going to start with our first cheese, which is a cheddar style dairy free cheese. We're working with 3 cheeses today, so that's going to be our first one up. And it would be nice if you have a grater to grate your cheese. But one thing that I'm all about is being realistic, and not all the time do you have a grater. Like my grater is not anywhere in the house. I let somebody borrow it. Things basically gone. If you don't have a grater, just try to get your cheese into small pieces so that it can melt easily. You can use a grater or you can use a knife like I'm doing just because I'm Jamaican and I'm just gonna do it like that. Let's go. The cheese is already looking super yummy. We still have our stove top on. We're putting small pieces of cheese in, and let's get into the vegan hack of how to make sure your vegan cheese melts all the way through so that this can be a really good mac and cheese. All vegan cheese needs is a little bit of water or oil and heat. So what I do is I just put a lid. The condensation on the top of the lid is going to go ahead and drip down. That steam is going to create water, and that's all it needs to melt. Vegan cheese just needs a little bit of water or a little bit of oil, and it's going to start bubbling. It's going to start melting all the way through. That's the hack, y'all. That's it. Okay, so we're doing our next cheese. I chose to go like with a creamy type because remember we're doing 3 cheeses in this mac and cheese because I think you gotta have at least 2 to 3 cheeses in any baked macaroni and cheese. I chose a creamy type, so that could be similar to like provolone or smoked gouda, something like that. But just A different cheese other than cheddar, other than mozzarella. Look at that cheese sauce. Oh, that thing bubbling. That thing is bubbling. How'd I get it like that? The vegan cheese hack, y'all. And go ahead and get your grated cheese or your cut cheese, your little pieces, get that in there. Small bits to ensure that it melts thoroughly. The cheese is looking so yummy already. And just whisk that up to get it combined into the sauce. And then what are we going to do next? We're going to put the lid back on. That's how we're making sure that it's not going to take like 2.5 days for this cheese to melt. Put the lid back on. A little bit of water is going to get in there and really melt that cheese super thoroughly. Mm-hmm. I'm putting my seasonings away because clean while you cook. That makes it easier. Now we're going to do mozzarella style, dairy free shreds. I really prefer using the block cheese over shreds, but let's get that mozzarella style dairy free cheese in there. Whisk it up, get it thoroughly combined. And you're going to go ahead and finish putting the rest of the cheese in there. Go ahead and do all three of your cheeses. You could comment what cheese you used. Comment below what cheeses you used. It doesn't really matter. I'm gonna just say let it be like three different color cheeses. It doesn't even matter specifically what cheese it is. But if it's three different color cheeses, I'm gonna guess that it's gonna be giving it a complex and a bit more depth to the flavor of the cheese sauce. Also, go ahead and put some of that mozzarella on the breadcrumbs and the butter that has melted in that small little bowl, because we're going to go ahead and sprinkle all of those breadcrumbs and mozzarella style cheese over the top of the macaroni before we put it in the oven. I kind of didn't have I'm not going to say I didn't have, because I did have breadcrumbs, but I was at the bottom of the box, so I didn't use the amount of breadcrumbs that the recipe calls for. But I'm happy that I had a little bit and I didn't have to go to the store. So, ooh, 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 look at that cheese. Look at that cheese. Hold on now. Now that's how you do your mac and cheese right there. All right. We cooked up our cheeses. And once those cheeses are cooked, go ahead and grab your elbow pasta. My chickpea pasta that I had here, And then go ahead and pour that cheese sauce into the pan with the pasta. Make sure you get all that cheese and then go ahead and gently mix together. Coat the pasta with the cheese sauce really nicely. And then we're going to turn the combined macaroni and cheese into the dish that we'll be putting into the oven. I really like this pan, and I think it's so funny how you can see my reflection and like you can see the phone mounted up and all that good stuff. Hee hee. All right, cool. We got our macaroni and cheese into the pan. I'm gonna go ahead and use a tablespoon to 2 tablespoons of nutritional yeast over the top. We're going to put our breadcrumb, butter, mozzarella style cheese over the top. And I actually forgot something. I want you guys to put way more mozzarella over the top of your mac and cheese before you put it in the oven. I completely forgot for some reason. But you want to go ahead and put a nice layer of mozzarella style cheese on top. You can go ahead and garnish with some chives if you like. Um, Personal choice is optional, makes it look a little bit cuter. And then this is not a choice. You definitely want to go ahead and put some aluminum foil over the top because that helps it to really melt that top layer of cheese and get it really bubbly and hot in that dish. So I pull it out the oven. I got the camera in a different way. I don't know how I got the camera like this. You know what I mean? This is my first time using this phone mount, so I didn't know what was going on all that much. But the mac and cheese was out of the oven, and maybe you guys can see why I said put more moz on the top. But this is how mine came out, and it was so yummy. I wish you guys could see it really, really clearly, but it was so good. And I had this in the oven for about 21 minutes just because I got hungry, man. I'm like, let me turn the oven off. But you can keep yours in for 25 to 30 minutes. That'll really get it to firm up. And it's personal choice, but I recommend 25 to 30 minutes in the recipe. And I put some more nutritional yeast over mine because look at all the nutrition facts. B12 and the amount of B12 that a serving of nutritional yeast gets. So if you're following a vegan lifestyle, boom, do that. Later.